Good afternoon, everybody. For your rush hour ride home, it's Dave Neal here with the Rush Hour Podcast on this Friday, January 17th, 2025. Here are all the stories we'll be getting to in this episode. TMZ catches up with Justin Baldoni following his explosive $400 million lawsuit, while Baldoni-Lively snaps back with a statement of her own. That's going to be our lead story. We're getting into it right away, so stick around for that. And then I've got clues that Bachelor romance between Matt James and Rachel Kirkconnell was already in rocky waters, looking back at a podcast they did just this past fall. Plus, Home Alone mansion sells for over $5 million. Not a bad return on investment. And the imminent TikTok ban is emerging. I'll explain what this means for your scrolling futures, and will they be able to delay this thing any further? Also, Donald Trump's inauguration is actually going to be indoors now that there's an Arctic freeze coming up. So I guess crowd size won't be of relevance this turnaround. I think it's the first time they've been indoors since Reagan. And since you want to find signs that you want to find a man like Spencer Pratt as he continues to defend his wife from sensationalized journalism. What world do we live in where Spencer Pratt is the one that we're all aspiring to be? Hey, it's the new world of 2025. I got all those stories and so much more coming up next on The Rush. Well, if you can't hear it in my voice, I'm barely hanging on, folks. I just finished up a 2.5-hour live stream where I'm reading the bombshell 180-page court document submitted by Justin Baldoni as he's suing Baldoni-Lively for $400 million. Not only did I not get through the full document, I'm only on page 69. So I will be continuing to read through that document. But if I could summarize what's going on very briefly, there is a massive he said, she said happening right now that is unlike anything we've really seen before, because Justin Baldoni, not only the main actor in the movie they starred in, he was also the director and producer, and he claims to have video and audio evidence refuting a lot of the claims of harassment by Baldoni-Lively. She has sued him for sexual harassment, and whether or not there is a private settlement or they drop their cases, it's yet to be seen. But I see Justin Baldoni in a dangerous place, whereas he's unhireable as of right now after Blake's bombshell lawsuit that was made in conjunction with a bombshell New York Times report. So with that said, I don't see him settling if he feels like he's in the right, and she's got a ton to lose, as her and Ryan Reynolds, if it comes out that they really strong-armed and possibly used Me Too-like movement, the Me Too movement, if they use that in ways to sort of gain control of the script and get editing rights, then that's wildly sinister. I'm holding out judgment until this thing goes to trial, because just because, he claims this and she claims that, I want to see the evidence. I want to see the video footage. I want to see all of that. So we've been covering this, right? Yesterday, he sues her for $400 million and said she tried to destroy him. Well, now we have her response. I'm going to play her response, and then I'm going to share what Justin had to say. Blake responds to Justin Baldoni's lawsuit and says, see, this is why you're the abuser. I'm going to share the statement. It was posted on TMZ. Blake's legal team responded to Justin's lawsuit Thursday with a scathing statement saying this is an age-old story. A woman speaks up with concrete evidence of sexual harassment and retaliation, and the abuser attempts to turn the tables on the victim. This is what experts call DARVO, deny, attack, reverse victim, offender. Now, like I said, if she can prove that he harassed her, then I don't think it's a bad thing if she tried to wrestle the final edit from him if he's a monster of a guy. That's what the whole lawsuit's going to kind of wait on. So we'll have to see if she can prove that. That's, she'll have to do that in the court. So anyway, the lawsuit's wild. And the more you read about it, when you read her lawsuit, you side with her because it's quite damning and convincing. Oh my gosh, there's 16 points of harassment that he signed that he wouldn't do any further. Well, then when you hear his side, he said, we signed it. It was like a hostage situation. She wasn't going to return to work. Blake's legal team continues. They are trying to shift the narrative to Miss Lively by falsely claiming that she seized creative control and alienated the cast from Mr. Baldoni. The evidence will show that the cast and others had their own negative experiences with Mr. Baldoni in Wayfair. The evidence will also show that Sony asked Miss Lively to oversee Sony's cut of the film, which they then selected for distribution, and was a resounding success. Alrighty, folks. Taylor Swift is somehow involved. They redacted her name from the lawsuit, but Taylor Swift was the power friend that I guess Blake Lively wrote a scene, and Taylor said she loved it, and they were trying to convince Justin Baldoni to give her cut. But then on the red carpet, Blake Lively says, actually, my husband Ryan Reynolds wrote the scene. It's a wild story. Well, TMZ caught up with Justin Baldoni, and here's what he had to say.
Justin, how you holding up, man?
Hey.
How are you doing?
We're grateful to be with the family, man.
Grateful? All right. Look, I know it's a tough time for you. How do you get through this?
Oh, man. We have amazing friends and family.
I'll set you a screen if you need one.
And faith.
Faith?
Yeah. But thank you so much, man. Have a great day.
You got it.
Yeah, cheers, buddy.
Be blessed, huh?
He says amazing friends and family and having faith. And of course, Justin Baldoni's there with his wife and his kids. And, you know, I mean, in today's world, paparazzi are usually called, you know, to like do these pop walks where, you know, it's contrived. This is one of the rare cases where this is the biggest celebrity story out there. You know, I'm talking about celebrity stuff. I'm not, you know, there's bigger stories, the wildfires, the political landscape and things like that. But in the celebrity world and celebrity culture, this is insane. There's PR people involved, accusations of astroturfing, defamation, extortion. I mean, it is going to be wild. So we will have all of your updates as they come in. Some people are saying this lawsuit could take years to sort of iron out, and it's going to get messy before it doesn't. I don't see either side settling because their brands are themselves, and if any amount of settling in this lawsuit is kind of admitting defeat, and I don't see that happening. All right, well, speaking of admitting defeat, we've got some fan theories going on about what happened with Matt James and Rachel Kirkconnell. Matt James was the Bachelor, and 4 years ago, he had Rachel Kirkconnell as his final one. But unlike most bachelors, he didn't propose to her on camera. And, you know, you thought maybe a year or two later that would happen. But it's been 4 years, and it still hasn't happened. And, of course, yesterday, he announces the breakup. Rachel says, you know, through sources, that she was blindsided that he announced the breakup. And look, I mean, I don't know how many days you're allowed to go before announcing the breakup, but, you know, I think you give your partner or your ex-partner a week to like craft a statement if you're officially over. Maybe Rachel broke up with him. Again, pure speculation. Maybe she broke up with him hoping that it would be the thing that convinces him to put a ring on the finger. A lot of proposals come after, hey, when are you going to, you know, make me your lady or whatever the case may be. Well, here they are on the De-Influenced podcast from this fall. This was reposted by Bachelor.scoop. Here they are kind of talking about possible engagement. You tell me.
Marriage / marrying each other.
Nice, Danny.
I have the finger ready. Okay. No.
She says, I have my finger ready. And then Rachel holds up her left hand, and then Matt grabs her arm.
No, I feel like that's definitely something we want. I'm on his time. Like,
yeah.
But my problem is I definitely need to go like find a ring I like and everything. But that's on him at that point, you know?
Matt, I'm looking at you.
No, I think that's the next step.
He like gets down
to
on one
look at a
knee.
ring.
We have the best clip of ever De-Influence history.
Wait, let him finish. He was talking.
Oh my God, he pulls out a ring.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, clip that.
So he doesn't pull out a ring, and they say that Rachel Kirkconnell says, I'm on his time. That being like balls in his court.
Having had so many of Rachel's friends go through engagements, I wouldn't dare go look at a ring without consulting Rachel first.
Smart man. That's the problem. I don't even know what I want. And I'll say this. I love the idea of like getting married or just like having that commitment to one another, and like kids and family really excite me. But the idea of planning a wedding really puts me off. Like sometimes I'm like, let's just elope.
Do it. Right now, the biggest thing holding us back is a ring.
Yeah, probably just going and looking at a ring.
Well, I'm saying I don't know. He's the one that's got to get down on a knee and ask.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like that's that's probably the first thing we need to do is go look at a ring.
Because y'all,
You know, this just bums me out. I'm bummed out by it. I wanted them to work. Why? Because you like to see good things happen, and them not working out, you know, like they always say, like, no amount of you getting sick makes me any healthier. No amount of you getting poor makes me any richer. It's the idea of abundance, and you want them to live a good life and have babies and be happy if they're meant for each other. Sadly, we all have that biological clock. We all have it. Right? Men have it, women have it. You're only alive for so many days. And to spend 4 years with somebody, that's like a college degree, right? To spend 4 years with somebody and it not work out. On one end, you go, look, hey, you gotta, learn what you want, learn your boundaries, learn what's wrong, but you don't want to waste people's time. And maybe she felt like her time was wasted. And if the guy really loved her, and if they broke up because he wouldn't put a ring on it, I'm sorry. I'm on Team Rachel on this one. It's not like she's in it for your money. You know, you're kind of like work together. She probably gets more traffic on her social media than he does. So, you know, he wasn't able to get to that point. And sadly, if you watched Matt James on his season, you could kind of tell that there was a lot of that feeling of, fear of growing up. So this might be the catalyst or maybe not. Either way, Rachel seemingly taking matters into her own hands. Well, I'm taking matters into my own stomach, my mouth, I should say. Drinking coffee in the morning may lower risk of death. Well, it looks like I'm going to live forever because I drink a hell of a lot of coffee.
Those who drank moderate or heavy amounts of coffee, 1 cup or higher amounts of coffee, ended up doing better if they drank it before noon. 11:59 was the cutoff on that. And before noon, it gave them health benefits. 31% less likely to die from cardiovascular
That's substantial.
disease. 16% less likely to die from all causes. If they drank it in the afternoon, it dropped that down to 0. It basically was the same as not drinking.
Now, my question is this. Is it because of the coffee, or is it because of people who drink coffee in the morning are more likely to be go-getters and therefore healthier because they're more like driven? That's just a thought.
Bodies metabolize antioxidants different in the morning than they do in the afternoon because of our circadian rhythms. And so if you get those antioxidants from coffee in the morning, and we're talking caffeinated or decaffeinated, did not matter in the study, then it's better. On top of that, if you're drinking caffeine drinks in the afternoon, caffeinated coffee, then we think it interrupts with your melatonin levels, which can disrupt your sleep, which we now know sleep is so important to our health.
Oh, geez. So I don't sleep. So I guess it's a net. I drink a lot of coffee, but I don't sleep. I drink Celsius in the afternoon. I don't know about you guys. It's got a couple 100 milligrams of caffeine. It's got HCGC. It gets your heart rate going. It feels like liquid cocaine, and I'm okay with that. All right. Home Alone mansion sells for $5.5 million. My first thought when I saw this was, right? The Home Alone moment when he screams because he puts the aftershave on. I never understood that when I was a kid. Well, either way, what a good deal for the sellers. The family bought the home. I guess the home was listed for $5.25 million, so it goes above asking, and they bought it in 2012 for $1.5 million. I guess my next question is, how much did it cost at the time of the making of Home Alone, which was early 1990s? What was Home Alone? 91, 92? I mean, that home was probably cost like $300,000. Oh boy. So for all of my old folks out there who are like, I bought my first home for $13,000. I made smart financial decisions. It's like, look, you got swept up by a tsunami and you think you're a pro surfer. That's all it is. All right. Breaking news. This was yesterday. So this morning I interviewed V from Under the Desk News. What a fantastic conversation. I hope you enjoyed that podcast. V has been on the forefront of getting the attention of the president to say, we need to stop this ban. TikTok is a huge industry, and it's great to have the independent journalism and all of that. Well, here's NBC News saying that it's going to be that the Biden administration has no plans to enforce the ban. Now, does that mean the ban won't be enforced? No, what it means is for the next 3 days, as in you have the whole weekend before Trump can decide what he wants to do.
Us now reporting that the Biden administration does plan to punt implementation to the Trump administration and that the way that they are going to do so is that they are not going to collect on the fines that is the punishment described in this law. So that is breaking right now as we speak. Let me explain that. The penalty in this law, what effectively is the whole underpinning of this, is that the service providers, so that is someone like Apple, a company like Apple, who is offering TikTok in its app store. That's a company like Oracle, the data hosting server for TikTok. In this law, those companies are fined $5,000 per user, 170 million users. It totals to about $850 billion in fines. That's the whole underpinning of this here. The Biden administration is just now telling us they will not collect on those fines. And I think I'd go so far as to say it also kind of renders what the Supreme Court will decide not as important anymore.
If it was me, I'd be like, can I get that in writing if I'm going to not get fined $800 billion? Well, this is a big deal. And, if you saw my interview this morning with V, there is some misinformation, that TikTok is a Chinese app, that there is not American supervision and control on the board. I guess the overall sort of transparency might still be lacking, but that's what they need to do, is find a way to get it so that it is safe. The algorithm is known to not be causing problems. I mean, they need to regulate it in a way.
Or if the Biden administration is committing to doing that. That then means the next day we get into a Trump presidency. Trump has said that he has plans to immediately intervene. There are several different options that he has at his disposal. Could he somehow organize some type of sale that then he, as the president, has the discretion to say, yep, that's a qualified divestiture, I'm good with that? Could he tell his attorney general to essentially do the same thing that the Biden administration is telling NBC News that they are doing?
We will see. Time will tell. But look, TikTok's more than just people doing goofy dances. It's a way to share information. It's a way to call justice to small news, things that don't get covered in the mainstream. It's a way to expose fraud. And I think it's good. I think it's good for all of us to have a different tool to voice our opinions. Because look, you take away TikTok, all you've got left is Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk running the show, right? And then whoever the Snapchat guy is. But does Snapchat really count? You've got Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter all being controlled by two dudes? I don't know. That seems kind of scary to me. Now, I'm not surprised that these ancient lawmakers don't have much nuance in the situation, because 80% of the lawmakers want this thing banned.
Think of the TikTok CEO.
So the question is for Josh Hawley, and it's a little late here, so I'm just going to tell it to you. What do you think of the TikTok CEO coming to President Trump's inauguration?
Think of the TikTok CEO coming to inauguration.
Not my favorite thing. Not my favorite thing.
Thank you.
What's your reaction to the TikTok CEO coming to Trump's inauguration? I don't get it. 80% of the Congress, Democrats and Republicans, agreed that TikTok is a huge national security concern. I can't think of a potentially more powerful propaganda tool. We'll see if there's, if 90 more days can get a deal done. I was a business guy longer than I've been a politician. I'm open to that. But the idea of simply kicking the can and continuing to have this national security issue, I don't know how that sits with the rhetoric out of the new administration. They're going to be tough on China.
Again, we'll have to get more information, and I think that's why they should delay it, to have more transparent conversations about how China is actually involved with TikTok, the app, how it can be regulated, and all of that. All right, here's Senator Ed Markey. He's part of the coalition to delay the banning so that they can acquire some more information.
Even as we're debating, TikTok users are flocking to a Chinese app with no reported presence in the United States. That's what's happening in our country right now. So it's time to take a breath, try to step back, buy some time, try to figure this out rationally. But in no way should we have TikTok go dark on Sunday. It would be catastrophic for just so many small businesses, so many creators, so many communities that have been created with no alternative available to them. There
it is. Yeah. All right. So that's that. And we have a different story here to get to. This is going to be interesting. The National Archives is making a unique request. I'll have this for you next.
Is a very unique request from the National Archives. They're looking for a kind of translation service. The job is, and it's a volunteer position, but an important one, to translate cursive writing from the 17 and 1800s and some in the 1900s into computer text typing. So it's basically English to English, but you've got to read letters in cursive and then transcribe them so that the National Archives can help people engage with history. The reason this is so important and kind of a Hail Mary from the National Archives is apparently people can't read cursive anymore.
And by the way, they're looking for volunteers. It ain't a job listing if you're not going to pay the people. Sounds like you need experts, and I feel like volunteers aren't going to cut it. And also, if people are volunteering, do you trust that they're translating it properly? I don't know, folks. I'm a little bit skeptical of it. All right, well, let's talk Spencer Pratt. What a few weeks it's been for him and his family, Heidi Montag. They lost their home and their community. But here is his conversation with Heather McDonald on Juicy Scoop. Actually, before I share this clip, I want to share something really interesting. This is Spencer Pratt calling out Daily Mail for their terrible journalism. So you're seeing this happen a lot recently. You're seeing journalism being done where they'll pull comments from random people and then turn those into headlines. So the title of this article is Heidi Montag slammed for continuing to talk about her $2.5 million home that burnt down. And then she cried on GMA. And it's like, Heidi wasn't slammed by anyone other than random internet trolls. Here's Spencer's response.
More of this. Heidi Montag slammed for continuing to talk about losing her $2.5 million home in LA fires. Cries on GMA. Daily Mail, put your name next to it when you take some comment section trolls and make it into a headline. How about the headline, Daily Mail, with some positivity? Millions from all over the world support Heidi, watching the reality of what just happened to her life. Also, $2.5 million home. The house is valued, to build the house is maybe probably $1 million. It's a 3,000 square foot house if we're lucky, just because the dirt in the Palisades got all expensive because of all of California and inflation or whatever. I don't know the freaking real estate, but it's a beautiful little humble home that somebody should be crying about if their life with everything in it is burning down. So you don't go make a headline, Daily Mail, oh, slam, continuing to talk about losing her home. Are you insane? Continuing? Was it last Friday? So I don't even know what day it is today, but this media trying to then turn on us to get clicks like they did back in the day, I'm calling it all out.
Good for him. Spencer Pratt calling it all out. And he's right. They don't even share the name of the reporter. They say, who's it by? DailyMail.com reporter. It's hogwash. Yeah, they just lost their home. And by the way, I wouldn't call a 3,000 square foot home small, but I understand the point. It's not some $2.5 million mega mansion that you're going to get in like Waco, Texas. A $2.5 million home in Palisades doesn't get you too much. But either way, yeah, he's here to go into bat for his lady. This is the guy you want to find in your life, ladies. Find yourself a Spencer Pratt. I did not know I'd be saying that, but hey, it's 2025. All right, more Spencer Pratt coming up next. Well, somehow my voice has made its way to the end of this episode because dang, have I talked a lot today. From a 40-minute morning episode to the live streams, now this one. Lots of content to get to. I'm going to continue with the Spencer Pratt conversation in a second. I just want to also take a moment. We've done the podcast now on YouTube and audio now for the last several weeks. I'm not saying this to complain. I'm saying this with pure gratitude. Thank you guys so much for making this launch super successful. I know a lot of people that have watched my YouTube channel specifically for Bachelor content might not enjoy all of the various entertainment news, but I do think this is the right direction for my brand to go in. I do think there's a greater audience of people that are kind of like-minded with me that care about entertainment news, but also some politics, also some social issues, also like what's going on in the world. And when you talk water cooler news or when you talk news that you talk at the dinner table with your friends and family, it's not just, hey, who dated who on The Bachelor, right? There's a lot of important things to discuss. And we follow the situations like Spencer Pratt and Heidi Montag because we recognize them. They're recognizable names. But also due to TikTok and short form content, so many people from the Palisades have been able to share their story of destruction, their stories of hope, their stories of loss. And those stories are really interesting to be able to empathize with the struggles people are going through. Here's Heather McDonald, who, by the way, I'm a big fan of. I'd love to go on her podcast someday. She's got a giant entertainment news podcast, but here she is asking Spencer some questions about his new reality. Whenever he's asked questions, he gets wildly emotional, and you can understand. Not only did he lose his home, he lost everything that was his lifestyle. I'm sure whatever the local taco shop was that he'd go to with his family, whatever the birthday place was, all those things, the whole community's gone. Here's what he had to say.
How does it feel now to have all these people, like now you guys are the most popular kids in the school again on the internet, and all these people being like, I always loved Heidi and Spencer, but maybe you never heard from them in the last 5 years. Like, what is it doing? I mean, I feel it's all positive. It's all good, but there's got to be a little bit of that, like, now it's cool to be,
That's this like emotional.
Isn't it?
I can't even enjoy it because it's like last night I was on a call with the president of a record label. Like they're talking about signing Heidi, and then, my mom's calling me and I think she sounds so emotional. I'm like, did she just have a stroke? She's not like finishing her sentences. And she's like, so it's like anytime I get like the moment of joy, it's just like so robbed from me. So it's like, that's why I joked today. So in an interview, I was like, I feel like I'm in purgatory. Like, it's like heaven and hell. It's like, oh, your dreams are come true. You're the most famous person ever, everywhere you go. And all these opportunities are coming. But it's like, oh, your whole world burned down and everything you loved and cherished. And even now with all this success, like, well, I can't go to my favorite anything. I can't drop Gunner off at karate. I can't go to tinkering where I'm not waiting in line for, his pickup with all the parents.
So you can catch that full interview on Juicy Scoop, Heather McDonald's podcast, but you can really see that it's not just about losing your living room. It's about losing that community. And he's facing adversity for his family, and they're going to deal with that for a long time. So are the thousands of other people that have been sort of evacuated and might be returning to lost homes and lost community. I think what it goes to show is how important community really is. So make sure to stay on top of that. February, I'm always told, is the most depressing month. It's right around the corner. And, people, Valentine's Day, it's just cold. It's whatever, new president, whatever the case may be. Just remember, insulate yourself from some of the negativities of the world by finding good people out there. I know that's easier said than done. It's almost easier when you're younger, right? You just get put up in some class and you just meet people that way. But as adults, go find a yoga class, talk to somebody, take your ear pod out and talk to somebody at the grocery store. Find a way to connect, because what we need now more than anything in this world that's kind of isolating us is that community. I wish that for all the victims of the fires. I wish that for you guys. Normally, I end the Friday afternoon episode by saying, go tell your boss to go F themselves. But let's tell that daily news reporter. Let's end it that way. Guys, I'm Dave Neal. That's it for me. I'll be back tomorrow with a great interview with a very big up-and-coming comedian, Catherine Blanford. You're going to love that. Everybody, walk out that door from work, go home, and go tell that daily news reporter to go fuck themselves. I'm Dave Neal, and this is The Rush.